Well, okay, let's see. And I
Push the right button.
Okay.
Here we are with our first live podcast.
How
We're
does it
very excited.
It does feel different. I feel more alive.
Well,
really.
I'm glad to hear it. And we have two very alive guests, too. We're very excited. We are joined today by Carla Sciaky, who is a healer, a teacher, a musician.
A friend.
And oh boy, is she got a great album that's out right now. And her daughter, co-conspirator, sidekick, camera operator, Chloe Prendergast, who's joining us this morning from Utrecht in the Netherlands. And we're so glad you're both here.
Well, yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks for doing. We wanted to talk to Carla and Chloe when we found out Chloe's piece in all of this, because Carla has a new album out called Heart of the Swan. And it's got a fabulous single on it that Steef had a little bit to do with the video part of and it's at the top of the folk charts, the Folk Alliance International Folk Chart. It's so cool. Congratulations, Carla.
That's great.
Thank you. October was the peak, and it's come down a tiny bit, but it's still in there.
Oh, it's awesome to be able to jump to that position so quickly. And
Yeah,
there's so many things to talk about, but we want to start by saying it's been a little bit since you had a new album, although you have 8 other albums in your life and a whole bunch of things with the Mother Folkers and other groups and things. But can we just start off right away by saying welcome and tell us a little bit about the beginning of the Carla Sciaky saga, musical saga, including your daughter, Chloe, too.
which part of the saga would you like, Chris?
Well, let's start with the music part. Is that
All
right?
I mean, I was in music my whole life growing up, and I started in a band when I was 16, and that band just kind of took off in Boulder, Colorado, and we gathered a following, and somebody stepped up to sponsor us making our first record. So that was way back in 1971, I think, was when that record came out, Propinquity. And that is where I got the name for my label, Propinquity Records.
I wondered.
Yeah, so the band broke up, and I went off to college, and we broke up amiably. We are still like very, very dear friends. And I went back to college, and music just kept pulling at me, and I kept trying to be a real grown-up and get a real job. And I wasn't a music student. I was an academic student, and I don't know, none of the real jobs came through, and I ended up going back into music after college. And I worked as a soloist, and I also worked in the world of early music, back then Renaissance and medieval music, in various ensembles, and then was on tour, and touring actively and recording a few albums in when Dan and I had Chloe, and Chloe went on the road with us for the first 2 years of her life.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we counted, she was on 17 planes, from age 4 months to 12 months or something like that. And then it got a little challenging once she got to be 2 years old, and they're kind of waking up when they hit 2, and the traveling was like throwing her off, which threw me off, and I was a soloist, so it was kind of stressful. So I started touring on my own. Chloe and Dan would stay home, and I had a bunch of health crises, and it was a very intense and difficult time. But one day I heard a voice saying, "You are more than a folk singer." It was, in my heart and in my aura or whatever, and I didn't follow that voice. I kept pushing and touring, and I kind of broke. So that was the last album. That was 1995, and
Wow.
And my path back to really a much deeper and greater wholeness was a real healing path and a growing path for me, which is why now I'm not just a folk singer, but also I bring the healing, the teaching. I'm writing a book. It feels like that. My calling is to bring not just the music, but everything that I learned, from the ups and downs of trying to push music out of my life, allowing music to come back into my life, and then finding the way that where it fits and what it's serving.
Well,
So this
that's
album is to serve. I want to serve people's hearts and souls.
well. I think that's a realization that a lot of musicians come to is finding a deeper calling in what they're doing and how their music is an expression of themselves and has more than just the idea of fame and fortune, which is kind of crazy anyway. But Chloe, I suspect that you have a different path. I know you have a different path, and talk a little bit about what has brought you to the Netherlands and really how you are pursuing your musical career.
Um, okay, well, I am a historically informed violinist, is like, I guess, the easiest way to put that. I sort of specialize in playing music from mostly the Baroque and classical early Romantic eras on the instruments set up in the way that they would have been set up back then, with sort of the research background of what did things sound like back then, maybe what was sort of the goal of music back then, how do we make that feel true and relevant today. And there's really a community for that here. There's a conservatory in The Hague that I studied at that has one of the biggest programs for early music in the world. uh yeah, so I don't know, I mean, I grew up with this not just a folk singer mother, and so I I don't know, like, music all feels like music to me. It's not like, I guess I've ended up doing most of the work I do as a violinist, but I don't know, it feels kind of, all of it feels connected and relevant, and I don't feel like I necessarily need to stick only to that.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
Well,
it's sort of
Carla,
where most of my
you
work
did
is.
early music, Renaissance music, and you still do some of that too, right?
Baroque.
Yeah, yeah. I'm more focused on Baroque now because I'm in a Baroque orchestra and a Baroque quartet. But when Chloe was in middle school, I started directing a middle school group and then a high school group in medieval and Renaissance, mostly on recorders, but we brought in other instruments. So the sounds were going in Chloe's ear from pretty early on.
Well, I know that we have to also say that Chloe's a world renowned award winning cinematographer. Uh,
That's right. You are now.
Accidental.
well,
Really, truly accidental.
We want to hear about that.
why I want to just set the stage here. The single from Carla's
Heart of the
album,
Swan
Heart of
album.
the
Yeah.
Swan, Standing by a River, is now an award winning music video that Chloe shot and I directed and
Found a little more footage for.
yeah, and so we just celebrated. We got a award of the best music video at the Denver Underground Film Festival
That
this
was
last
fun.
week, which was just like fun. But
Just
tell us a little bit about how you two really came up with how you're going to approach getting this video and really shooting it.
uh, do you want to start or shall I start?
Um, I guess I could start. I was in Minnesota doing a set of concerts, and anytime I'm in the States, I try and figure out, like, is there a way of making it so that I can see my family while I'm there? Like, if I'm working there, I try and figure out if there's a way. And so my mom was, I think, free for like 2 days before my rehearsals started. And you were on your way to somewhere
New
else.
York, New
To
York.
And so then I was like, hey, what if we both come like 2 days early so that we can actually spend some time together? Because we don't often get to see each other. Um, and then you were there with me, and it was in the middle of that you were like, I have to make a music video for this single, and I need some footage of that. Will you film me? And so then we sort of talked about like it's standing by a river, and we were near the Mississippi River. So then we were like, let's go find somewhere beautiful by the Mississippi River. So it was kind of a fun adventure to go just like look around the Twin Cities and be like, where can we go be by the river? And then I don't know, I was like, I don't have any background at all in film or photography
Nor do I.
in any of this, honestly. Like my only experience is being told to go somewhere or do something myself by being a violinist. So I don't know, I've watched music videos, I guess. So then I was like, I don't know, I guess walk this direction and I'll film you. So we just did a lot of things where I was like, I don't know, I guess this would be useful maybe. And so we just got a ton of things that I thought maybe this is useful. And
Well, we used every second of it. It was great. Well, I think this. I want to point out that a lot of times people are really intimidated at the idea of shooting a video and the whole idea of putting it together, and is going to cost thousands of dollars. And I thought this was a great example of really approaching it in a very can-do attitude, and taking your iPhone out and walking by the river and then shooting the footage that you did. Was it kind of a fun experience when you were out there?
I I would say so. I mean, I had watched a few folk musicians' videos, and I wanted to see what appealed to me. And I liked it um, when there was some extended shot of them walking, and I liked the ones where they were out, in nature somewhere. And standing by a river obviously was going to be by a river. So it was handy that we had the Mississippi River there.
Yes, it
And
was.
And I know that you probably experienced a lot of problems that a lot of people do. It takes more than one take to do this stuff. You have to learn and be patient with yourself and give it a shot.
well, plus the first day that we went out, we made two major errors. One was we really could not find a path near the river. So we were on a walkway that was raised way high above the river. So the river was way off in the distance. And we just couldn't. I mean, Chloe did a great job of grabbing both me and the river, but we were miles apart, it felt like. But the other major flaw was we filmed everything vertically. And in the middle of the night, that night I woke up with a start, and I thought, oh my God, they told me to do it horizontally. So
Take two.
take two in a major way. But the second day I looked at the map really carefully on my phone, and then we looked at the terrain. We looked at the terrain version of the map and saw where the path actually went down to the river. And I think we just ended up with the perfect place.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, it looks
Well,
great.
I think we have to stop teasing this a little bit. Let's show our video. Here we go.
Okay.
I am standing by a river. Mother, there's a pain in my heart. I am standing by a river. Mother, won't you soothe my soul? I am standing by a river. The water is cold and the air is still. Mother, take me in your arms and give me peace. take me in your arms and give me peace of mind. There are two people rowing. Mother, there's a pain in my heart. There are two people rowing. Mother, won't you soothe my soul? There are two people rowing. When one gets tired, then the other pulls more. Mother, take me in your arms and give me peace of mind. I can hear them talking. Mother, there's a pain in my heart. I can hear them talking. Mother, won't you soothe my soul? I can hear them talking. Their lives touch mine as they paddle and pass. Mother, take me in your arms and give me peace of mind. Here I stand at the river. Mother, there's a pain in my heart. Here I stand at the river. Mother, won't you soothe my soul? Here I stand at the river. When I get tired, who is pulling for me? Mother, take me in your arms and give me peace of mind. Mother, take me in your arms and give me peace of mind.
Thing.
You know, it really helps to have something so breathtakingly beautiful as that song. It
Thank you,
it
Steve.
really that's just it's such a beautiful song, and you know,
Where did the song come from, Carla?
I wrote it 30 years ago, I guess. It was around 1990, and I was performing somewhere near Philadelphia, and I was visiting a friend, and he took me to this beautiful walkway along the Schuylkill River. It was definitely during a challenging time for me, and the river was, it was a gray day, and the river was so, there just was, I just had a very deep experience being walking along the water, and this song just came out, and I wrote it hoping to take it to a camp that I used to go to, sort of workshop camp, that was a Mother's Day weekend in Connecticut at a held at a summer camp, and it was people coming, folk musicians coming together and singing different genres of folk music together and performing for each other and sharing things. And on Sunday mornings, they would have a gospel morning. So my dream was to take it to that gospel morning on at that workshop. And I think I did once. And that just stayed in my mind all these years. So when I was recording this album, I wanted to bring in voices that I knew would bring that sound that I wanted. So I sent it to my friends Cindy Callett and Gray Larson, and they filled in two voices. And then my younger child Rafa came into the studio and wove a part kind of amidst Cindy and Gray's and my parts.
Yeah, it's
Just really great. I wanted to just take a little second to give encouragement to musicians, as our hope for this podcast is to encourage and help musicians get your music out into the world. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the approach that I went through to come up with the video. Um, the, the thing about this that I wanted to keep true to my heart was the first time I heard this song, I came to tears, and it the part that pulled me most was, who's pulling for me, that line, is so vulnerable and open. So uh, I would just suggest that if you're approaching your video and your song, to if you're trying to make a video of it, really try to take a clean look at it for the first time and start to feel where it pulls you or touches you most, and then work to try to incorporate those feelings in the video. And the footage that you saw there is all stock footage that I was able to pull. I pay $100 a year for a stock footage place called Storyblocks, which is very affordable if you're doing a lot of these videos. But it take a lot of time going through all those things and really trying to think of your music video as a little movie, and each one of those verses or little pieces that go through, try to think of those as separate scenes, and then try to find the visuals to help put that together. And so enough of that. But I wanted to go further and just talk a little bit about your CD and I just really
it's so haunting and so beautiful.
I just love that CD, and part of it that I think
Thank you.
that really gets me is how it's. If you may be wondering, Chris did not just disappear, but we actually, our housekeeper is coming, and she's trying to get that together. But the hearing the influences of the Baroque music within this is so interesting and so fresh for me, and I really love how that flavor kind of. The simplicity of how you approach all of the songs, but how occasionally a song comes in that has that beautiful taste of the Baroque is really, really interesting. And I noticed that you've done this a little bit in earlier CDs. Wasn't there a little bit of that touch? But can you tell us how you really approach this one as far as bringing all the songs together?
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to Rebecca Scout Nelson, who is a Baroque violinist, and she plays other instruments as well, and a songwriter as well. She lives, I think now in the Boston area. And Chloe and I have both played with her. She put out an album, I don't remember if it was 2021 or 2022. And it was basically a collection of songs she wrote and put together after her younger sister died. And it was a way for her, especially during the pandemic, to express her grief. So she is such a consummate musician that she brought early music together with songwriting, and it's such a moving album. Chloe, do you remember the name of it?
Do Not Lament, I think, is the name.
Yeah, that's right. Rebecca Scout Nelson. So I am so grateful to her because when I left the industry in 1995, it was a time that you had to name your genre and you really had to stay within the bounds. Like you had to perfect the sound of your genre. At least that's how I perceived it. And it felt like pressure to me when I already loved all this ethnic music and traditional music and singer-songwriter and contemporary and medieval and Renaissance but I just became more and more narrow in my approach to recording folk songs and my own writing. And so I felt a nervousness, even a fear about coming back into the music world as a solo voice again 30 years later. And like, what are the rules now? Because I felt like there were rules I had to follow. And then I heard Rebecca's album, and it's like it melted the lines for me. And I thought, if she can do it, like, I'm not doing this to please anybody in any industry. I'm doing it to take my songs out to help people, because people find my songs either soothing or probing or unearthing or whatever, spiritual, whatever. And so I want the songs out there. They can't help people if I'm singing them in my living room. But Rebecca's album freed me up. And so I began to bring in these other threads to create different textures and sounds and harmonies. And I brought in slide musicians who I knew would bring exactly what I wanted. Everybody did exactly what I was hoping for, if not surpassing those hopes.
It is so remarkable to listen to the whole feel of the whole thing. I was so sad when the rotation was over, but then I just started again, and I kept thinking, it's like Joni Mitchell does English folk ballads and Baroque music. It was that pure voice of yours. I so love it, and I love the fact that the whole family is in this world of this kind of music. I'm just going to ask you, Chloe, this probably kind of puts you on the spot, but what your thoughts are about your mom's album.
Oh, I mean, I felt like I ended up being kind of quite a part of the process of the whole thing. I'm on a few of the songs in a few different ways. I sing some harmonies, I play the violin on a couple things. I now like can't even remember all the things that I did. The recording took place over a couple of years. And we spent a lot of time when I was in Denver this past summer also like listening through various takes and various like orders of things. And so I feel like I was super happy to be a part of all of that. And then also part of me feels a bit sad that I don't get to have that actual like, oh, first sit down and like listen to the final finished product.
Yeah.
I feel sort of like I was so much a part of it that I can't hear it the way that other people as an outsider can. But then since then, like I'm in a string quartet and the rest of my quartet has been like, we've been listening to your mom's album so much, we love it. So
it is the all of it. The Polly Vaughn things. I loved all of it.
And also a shout out to our mutual friend Luke Halpin for the engineering on this thing. It's very
great job.
Very, very beautiful.
Can I ask? I want to ask one other thing. One of the things that we like to do in the podcast is help musicians figure out how to get their music out there, marketing, getting it on radio stations, and so forth. Can you talk briefly, Carla, about how you approach that?
Well, again, this is a new world. The folk radio DJ list did not exist, I think, or maybe it was just barely starting when I left 30 years ago. So now there's this robust group of people that actually have connections with each other and meet, and they show up at the Folk Alliance conference every year and then in the regional conferences. And there are people now that help you reach the DJs. So I did have the help of a wonderful woman who helped me promote the album, and she also was a teacher for me because I just like Chloe was describing, being sort of too much in it, and I couldn't see it from outside. So I really needed some help in what do you want me to describe, and who am I talking to, like, for what? And so I got a lot of guidance. But there really is an art and a science to promoting, and it so helps to find people who can help you through that process. I was very lucky to have a good, robust guide.
Yeah. Well,
She's
I
the
just
one that also urged me to she said, I need you to make 2 music videos. And I was like, I've never made a music video before. And she said, just take your phone and walk around. I mean, she really made it sound like, just do something. And so I didn't have high expectations when Chloe and I went out. I just thought, okay, we're just going to film. And then somehow there'll be a way to melt it together, which is what, Steef, you did so artfully.
yeah. Well, thank you. Well, I just want to encourage everybody to really search for Heart of a Swan. Is that right? Heart of the Swan.
Part of the
Heart of
swan.
the Swan with Carla Sciaky, and it's a gorgeous album. And I just wanted to thank both of you.
You should also search for Scintilla, which is Chloe's album with a quartet. Yes.
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Which is, oh my God, so delectable and luscious. It is so exquisite.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Tell us the name of your album again, Chloe.
The album is called Scintilla. It's the Italian word for sparkle, and it's like the very beginnings of the Italian string quartet. And my quartet is called the Butter Quartet, like the food.
Oh, great.
Sorry for the mispronounce. The Anglis, whatever. I anglified it.
Well, look, one of the cool things that I'm about to bring on, this is a first time we've had a comment on our very live podcast, but Bonnie Essex asks, what would be the helper's title? The person I think she's referring to the person that helped you get the
The
word out.
promo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the best thing would be to connect with the Folk Alliance International. And I don't know if there's a roster, but the person who worked with me is Carrie Estrin. And then there's also, oh, my mind is blanking, and I'm sure my husband downstairs knows exactly who I'm talking about. He was one of the first people on the board, and he worked in the office forever. Anyway, the Folk Alliance is just such an amazing resource and way to meet people, to help you in every way, and actually on absolutely every level, from grassroots to professional, and in every arena of the folk industry.
Great. And Bonnie, I think that's what I say. Bonnie
It's the one
is
who's
so
commenting
promoter.
there.
Yeah. Bonnie Essex. Great. So promoter, she said.
Yeah, that's Carrie Estrin.
Okay, great. Well,
Thank you so much for joining us from here and from afar.
and thank you for letting us experiment with you on our very first live podcast. I don't think we hurt anybody. No pets were harmed.
No bleeding.
Congratulations on your launch.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you both.
Thank you.
Love to you both.
Well, Chris, what do you think?
I think we ought to do these more often if we can find anybody else in the world like Carla Sciaky and Chloe Prendergast.
I think that's a good idea. Well, thank you all, and see you next time.